Hey, it's the Road Show. Automotive enthusiasm distilled, as I've been calling it lately. And the liquor reference is strictly coincidental, I swear. But we're all here. Alan, you're in the UK. Dan in Seattle.
Hello.
Lindsey in LA. And
Hello.
me in Denver. Hey, guys.
Good.
It's good to see you all. I was a little hesitant to bring this up, but something happened yesterday in my house, and that's that we're joining the dark side. Our little Tiguan back here is finally getting kicked to the curb, and we are getting a Polestar 2 of all things.
Wow, straight in there. Like we've been on the air like 2 minutes. Like what happened?
I've been talking about this for 2 years. I think is the problem. I think the Tiguan's been on the chopping block for a minute. It's just I think that what happened is the car is starting to feel old. The car is 8 years old. It's only got 68,000 miles, but it's starting to feel old. And then also, it comes down to money. And Polestar has this amazing, amazing deal on the Polestar 2, where if you live in Colorado, and I think it's some other states, you get a $10,000 tax credit. And then if you're a Costco member, you get another $2,000. So a 27-month lease can be had for about $200 a month plus, tax and registration, all that. You just can't beat that. It's a $60,000 car. Now we're not getting the performance edition.
I think if anyone on this group, this show, is going to get a new car, I think we all need to have a vote in it, to be honest.
Well,
that seems fair.
Because you know what I would really want, Alan?
Democracy, right? It's not a decision process you can make on your own.
Exactly.
That's
we're family.
So. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that? Because, honestly, I would love a Rivian R1,
I think it's the best looking Volvo on the road. So that's
yes.
What I
it's the best car for the money, I think, right? And that's what it comes
That's
down
an incredible
to,
deal. And I'm excited to hear what you think using it daily, like what your experience is.
Yeah. And I think it will replace the Tiguan. I've gone back and forth about just keeping the Tiguan as a third car, right, as a beater. But it's a whole different experience. So I think there are only like 8 or 9 Polestar showrooms in the country. And it's shocking where they don't have showrooms, but one of the places they do is here in Denver. It's in the Cherry Creek neighborhood, which is kind of the Shishi shopping district. And so it's a storefront. So you go in, and there's just some screens and a couple of chairs and a plant. And, of course, then they have the new Polestar 3 and the Polestar 4 in there, which are 6-figure cars or closer to 6 figures. And they really make the Polestar 2 seem like a Honda Fit in comparison. I will say that the Polestar 2 has a back window, which I think is that the Polestar 3 doesn't. Have you seen this? There's no back window. And they say, the glass roof just there's nothing. Yeah, there's a screen. There's no rear view mirror either. So everything it's all cameras and screens, which I don't know. Maybe I'm showing my age, but might be a little tough. But you go in, it's a showroom. They're not, you talk about a place not trying to sell you a car. They're not trying to sell you a car because everyone and their mother has been in for this deal, I think, and we literally got the last car they had available.
Is that what the sales guy told you? This is the last one we have.
Act now, you'll lose it.
Yeah.
That's a good. That's a good.
Call my manager to get a better price. This is it.
Well, what you're saying is it worked and you fell for it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, Well, actually, I should qualify that. He said there are 2 cars. One is they have like a performance model, so it's an extra 40 horsepower or something, and it's got Öhlins adjustable dampers, which shocked me. They're only adjustable like a true performance car under the hood, right?
Right.
And it was that or sort of a basic one. So unfortunately, the one that we agreed to is kind of basic blue, doesn't have the glass roof, doesn't have the Harman Kardon system, but it is the dual motor. It is all-wheel drive, but it is pretty bare bones. But, hell, for $200 a month. We spend that much in gas.
It is a good car. The powertrain is good.
Yeah.
All the supply chain is good. The styling is good. Essentially, Polestar is run by instead of it being an accountant or an engineer, it's actually an industrial designer. So everything is very designed. And they're bringing out, more concept cars, more, sportier models. So they're definitely trying. But yeah, it's going to be a great car. How is the storage capacity? Are you using this as a family car? So
yeah, it's a little tight in the back seat. but hey, you know, I'm not planning to be back there too often.
It's got a pretty rapid 0 to 60, hasn't it? Or
Yeah,
0 to
it's
100.
420 horsepower, so it's about the same as the GT4 back here, and I think it's at least as fast as 60, although it drops off after 80 or 90 quite a bit.
Was it 4.3 seconds or something?
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you get the performance, it's 4.1 or 3.9 or something. So it really is a Model 3 competitor. So this would go up right against the dual motor Model 3, which, you know, but then you got the Tesla problem, right? As I like to call it.
We had a pop-up Polestar shop here in a supermarket in Westfield in White City. And so I went and thought, I've got a day off. I'll go and just book a car out. And so they basically give you the key or the code, and you head down to the basement, you find it, and away you go. And that's the first thing I did is I went and found some country roads and had a great time, did some standing starts. I think I've got a video of it somewhere. Obviously,
we all
didn't
need to
hold the
see
phone
that,
myself
of
while I was
course.
doing it.
Yeah.
But,
were you driving the performance model, do you know, or was it just the standard?
I honestly can't remember. It was a while ago. So
And the reason I ask is this performance model not only has the Öhlins adjustable dampers, it has gold Brembo brakes, which are almost, you know, worth the price alone.
Well, the extra braking capacity that gives you just from the gold is phenomenal. The gold is better than obviously red.
Well, yes,
so.
yes. Platinum would be even better, right? Titanium maybe even a step below that, or above that.
Yeah.
But the difference between
little
the
known
standard,
fact, right?
Oh, color is so important. To
that's right,
performance.
right.
It's
The credit card
There
companies
is a
know
link
what to do.
there. Yeah.
It's the only criteria.
Yeah, it was. Right. And I would love to have gotten it, but it was going to be quite a bit more expensive. And then the other thing is you go up to a 20-inch wheel versus a 19-inch wheel, and it comes with summer tires. And then you've got a low-profile tire that, you know, as a family vehicle, I don't want to be stopping, changing, you know, the tire after or not waiting for someone to come pick you up, right? If you hit a pothole.
So when do you take possession of this?
Well, okay, so I should qualify this. We put the deposit down. It's not actually official till tomorrow, so I won't know until
Not
tomorrow.
too late. We can change his mind.
That's right.
We can. So we'll talk about this event later. I went to Formula E in London on Sunday, but Porsche had a stand there, and they had the Macan, the new Macan there, and it's pretty good. It's
You like
pretty
it,
good
huh?
looking car. Yeah.
It was going to be something like $1,100 a month to lease that thing, though, and it just, as a family car, it just doesn't make sense. I think that thing is pretty
wicked. What you're
wicked.
saying is your wife doesn't need a performance car. That's what you're saying.
I'm saying I don't need a performance car, and that was always sort of the yin and the yang with these, right? Too, because one would sort of keep me out of trouble 95% of the time, you know. But if the car is doing 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds, then I got to be a little careful. But we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
When you're in an electric car, though, it doesn't look like you're hooning.
Yeah, it's deceptive.
get away with
You have
murder,
to work harder.
right? Yeah, that's right. So
Well,
anyway,
okay,
that's, you know, I don't know.
So Dan and Alan, I was going to say, since it sounds like we have maybe 24 hours to change his mind, what would you guys try to convince him to move over to?
There's nothing for $200. That's a problem.
Kudos for you for not going down the Tesla route, though, because
Right on.
I've lost too many friends to Tesla.
You just don't know what tomorrow is going to bring with Tesla, do you? That's
no. Where does this go to, though? Does this mean that the next step is you're getting solar panels for the roof and then
No.
turning vegan?
I like my roof.
Going for it.
This is the gateway.
This is strictly a financial decision, right? Now, this is strictly a financial decision. You know, the house that we bought's got a charger. So, what's that?
Will drive for tax credits.
That's basically it. And you know, I do like it. Is it the car I would pick out cost independent? No, it isn't. But cost dependent, absolutely. I will say a dual motor Tesla model thing. The Model 3 does drive a little bit better. I think the steering is a little more natural. I think it's a little quicker, right? You know, I think you might shave another half second or whatever. But the build quality on this thing is just like so much better than a Tesla. Yeah. I do like the visibility of the Model 3. You've got a nice big window, you know, side windows. You've got an actual rear window. This is a little gun slitty.
So Lindsey, cover your ears. Did you consider a Mach E, or I'm just saying? So.
I didn't, and I'll tell you why. It came down to money. They wanted something like $850 a month for a Mach E. So
That's
I
more than a Rivian.
was really
That's
surprised.
surprising.
So maybe I was looking in the wrong place, but. And then there is something else. There's not, we talk about the Tesla problem. There's the car line factor. Now, Lindsey, you have a daughter about my daughter's age. There's something about what are you driving in the car line at the kids' school. And I mean, I'm competing against like a GT3 Touring, a couple Bronco Raptors, like a few G-Wagons. Like I need to have something where I belong. The Tiguan was getting a little long in the tooth, right, for that crowd. So you get this. Like this is something you consider, right? This factors in. Like what's your image among your child's, peers?
Right, like what are you showing up in? Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to have a Rivian. You got to roll up in a Rivian. That's celebrity status.
Yeah, that's the move.
Didn't they have a lease deal, $550 a month or something for an R1T?
Well, and I thought Matt Farah was just talking about, I thought they were offering deals on the Mach-E, which, Alan, I appreciate you calling it a Mach-E and leaving out the word that I disagree with.
I mock you, but I'm with you. It cuts for me as well.
Let's make an agreement right now that we don't refer to it as the Mustang Mach-E. And you know what? To I guess the general public's credit, I'm not sure that that's stuck anyway.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think it is. Most people call it a Mach-E.
Anyway, don't dodge the conversation here, Ryan.
What was why didn't I get a Rivian?
Yeah.
Well, I would love to have had the R1. I guess it is, but
messaging RJ. I'm messaging RJ now.
Oh, so. if he can match the
family discount, right?
Discount.
Yeah. I mean, like you're a celebrity. You're like,
yeah. It's that.
You said we have 24 hours.
Oh my God! All right, make it happen, Alan. Make it happen. I don't think these guys at the Polestar store care one whit or not whether we come back. So that one car will find a home. But it's funny because to bring it back to the car, to the image thing, right? If it were up to my wife, we would have gone out and bought what's the big Volvo SUV, the hybrid, the XC80.
Oh, the XC90.
We had one as a rental. XC90 had great car. Had one as a rental. She loved it, but a little too much vehicle. But that is the what do you want to call it? Like the paradigm of like perfect school car line car in her eyes, right? Like that. It's like you're trying, but not too hard. You've achieved something, but not too much.
Understated.
Right? Yes.
Like classy, but like we're doing well. Like
right, exactly.
We've actualized, and here we are.
And so Polestar's kind of like the next best thing, which I guess, well, Alan is finding me the world's best Rivian deal. What do you guys? So even I don't know this as someone who's shopping one. Where does Polestar fit in with Volvo now? Because it was initially the performance brand, right? It was the M or the RS or whatever, and then it became the electric brand. But now all Volvos are going to be electric. So what is Polestar?
No, it's the electric RS brand, isn't it? So
maybe
they've got a new sports car coming out. I saw just yesterday. It's RS all over it. So
okay,
there was one at Goodwood. There was a convertible sports car Polestar at Goodwood.
Oh yeah, that thing was so good looking, wasn't it? Well, I don't even know what that thing was. That was an amazing looking thing because it looked like nothing else, right? It was. You talk about cars that are derivative. This was not a derivative car. I guess, like you could say for Rivian,
like what Lexus is to Toyota, isn't it? That's kind of
is that kind of so? Just kind of like maybe a little more luxury, a little more taking more chances in the design department.
Yeah,
Lexus has a pretty good. What's the tiny SUV? I think it's just the RAV4. And then my wife took one look at that thing and said, "Dear God, no." Yeah, what is that based on? That grill's going to eat us all up. But no, it's I've driven a lot of cars lately, guys, and Kia's a compelling option, but at the end of the day, I don't know. I guess image does play into it, and I guess this is sort of the cost conscious image.
It's a smart choice, isn't it? It's not a bad choice. It's a smart choice.
And I don't make enough of them, so it's carrying me for a while.
Right, look at the company you keep here.
That's right.
Yeah, there we go.
Right.
We got all this new road show cash coming in, I'm sure, in just days. So maybe I was shooting too low here. I don't know.
So now's a good time then. Let's talk about our success. Like, let's pat ourselves on the back just for 1 minute.
Good segue. We debuted at number 12 on the automotive podcast charts, guys. We beat Spike and Crew by one position for a day or two. That's
for
pretty
3
good.
seconds. Exactly.
That's
So
right.
we
That's
did it.
damn good. And we were chatting before we got on. I think more telling is the fact that I think we debuted at something like 50 on the leisure podcast charts, which is insanity because that is the catch-all podcast category. That's where most podcasts fall, is in leisure. So the fact that
awesome.
we were up that high is just amazing. And so thank you to every one of you listening. I'm from Chicago. I used to say vote early, vote often, right? Then vote again,
Right.
yeah. And I kind of feel like, that's what we need to do to keep us there. So, one last appeal. I know we have just plastered the internet with images and
Yeah, I'm
clips
so sorry that I have just rammed it out there on Instagram. I'm sorry. I'll try and pace myself and mix other boring stories in with it now. So
how many people do you think muted us over the last couple of
I'm
Sorry,
just
Lindsey.
looking forward to Alan's tales of his world travels, buying everybody the beers that he's promised.
Right.
I know, right? That got me in a moment. That's it. So,
Alan,
all 10 of you are going to get, all 10 of our listeners are going to get a beer. So.
And they're all going to show up on August 3rd at Brews Off Facts in Denver from 5 to 7 for the Road Show
You're in the
party.
Game.
So
you should be on the big cable channel. You're made for this stuff. So.
I'll send you the bill.
Well,
But-
I do have a lot of travel. So I've got some European travel coming up. I've got obviously coming out to see you guys for Car Week. And I am definitely going to be in SoCal. Green Cheek Brewery is definitely going to get a visit. So,
Nice.
yeah, there's going to be some beer
coordinate on that,
for
Alan.
sure. Definitely. So.
Speaking of Car Week, we just got off a media credentials meeting for Laguna Seca in the Rolex Historics, Monterey Historics, and all that. I'm sure I'm butchering the name. All these entities are very, very, careful about how you say the name. I'll remember the Pikes Peak way of saying it for the rest of my years. It's beaten into me. But I got to give them a lot of credit because they were wonderful, right? They want us to create amazing content. And I think, Dan alluded to the fact that this is probably a very pivotal year in the history of the track. Obviously the racing is amazing. And I want to say thanks to them for making it easy. It's a spectrum of approaches when it comes to these media passes, as we're learning at Car
It really is.
And it's
and I think
right?
you're right. I really appreciate Alicia's efforts to, like she said on the meeting, create the content creator program so that she can include more people and bring more people in to experience it and share it with the people that don't get to come and share it from a variety of different perspectives.
Right. We were the 4 oldest people on the show, or on the call, the Zoom call. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of young people, but hey, keep the company with the folks you want to be like, right? And no, they're making it so easy, and so I'm really getting excited about covering the stuff at Laguna Seca. That's now all of a sudden turning into a bigger component of I think my time spent at Car Week. So I'm very excited. But yeah, some of the others, we've all. If you do this kind of thing, you know where we're coming from, but we've applied to basically everything for Car Week. Got some positives, got some negatives, but it's been a real reality check and a kind of a gut check. And you build you up one day and then you get, an email the next day that kind of takes you back down. It's kind of been an emotional roller coaster, but, we're really appreciative for all that we have gotten and know that, we're new to the scene too. So there's always next year and plan to be back. But how's that? I
think we can refer to it as a motivator.
Special. That's right.
I'm hot on it. So RJ's got a DM.
Amazing.
Tony, his right hand man, has got a message. So
amazing.
Yeah, I'm pushing it. Let's see.
Alan, you are the man. We'll
I haven't delivered yet. But
I just appreciate that you're throwing the darts.
Yeah.
Tune in next week to see which car Ryan actually takes delivery of.
Ooh.
Let's see.
If we lose $100 to Polestar, I'll survive. It's
feels like a worthy sacrifice for the sake of the story.
Yeah. So I noticed all you guys have got your watches on. Hooray to
Yeah.
Jay!
Yeah.
I know.
We're doing it. Nice.
Sheffield watches.
Good
What's
stuff.
up? Yeah, it's
We're committed Sheffield fans over here.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you're coming to the Road Show launch party, August 3rd, 5 to 7, Brews Off Facts, Denver,
Where you
Colorado,
watch
USA.
and Ryan will buy you a beer.
That's right. And I might give you a watch because we've got one to give
go
away.
on.
So, yeah.
Even
So I-
better.
Away.
We do. It's this one, but it's the red and black one. This one, of course, was a special run, but
That's
can't
amazing.
wait.
You know,
But we gotta.
I ride dirt bikes, and and I like to do my lap times as I go around, and because obviously I'm an athlete, as you know, for one lap. And so when I bought this, obviously it's such a reasonably priced watch that I thought it's not going to last 2 minutes. And
Yeah.
here it is. It still looks brand new. It's amazing. So
Love it.
yeah.
Well, if you can
Yeah,
think
they're
of
so
something that, yeah, I mean, this is the watch I wear most of the time now, which is crazy. But
Right.
I don't just want to give this thing away at the launch party. I want to make people work a little bit. So if you have any ideas, something better than count the jelly beans in the jar or whatever, guess the number of, whatever in the, although we could probably get creative with that. I could probably come up with something pretty good, but. I could put all the denied press credentials in a jar. I'm kidding.
Everybody who's listened to all of the Roadshow episodes to date. That's how you
Right,
qualify.
maybe a trivia. Yeah, and we
I
can
think-
test them on that. It's
I think you got to guess the tire size on the biggest tire on the rack behind Lindsey or something. So
at my tire shop.
I mean, it's
Or
not
you
hard.
can
I think we know what it's all going to be
names.
off, don't we?
You can submit
names,
names,
yeah.
for my tire shop, and then we pick the winner,
I love.
there you
Oh,
go.
that's what you need. Yeah,
and then I can make a sign.
I got a buddy with
my
a sign
mind is-
shop. Don't tempt me.
My mind is working overtime. It really is.
I mean, the jokes
This
write
is a
themselves.
PG-13 show.
I'm keeping quiet. I'm just keeping
Yeah.
quiet. Not going to get in trouble today.
You're like Chandler of Friends. The second this ends, you're just going to go, oh, and rubber.
Right.
It's all coming out.
That's funny. We
That's
keep
the
show
after hours
notes.
Him in
show.
for now 'cause he's the rudest and cheekiest one of all of us. So I'm trying to.
We've been
Hey,
talking
don't
about
fool
an
ya.
after hours show, haven't we? So if people want to hear an after hours show, we'll have to record one.
That's for the
Hey, speaking
Patreon
of
feed.
cheeky.
That's
right.
what they pay for. Yeah.
Now that's when I'll get
Not
to
the
upgrade to
garbage.
the big Rivian, right? It's speaking of cheeky, Putin's people called Alan. They didn't like that.
So, yeah, it went out. I have to be
Just
honest.
caught fire on TikTok.
It did. Even my wife, she was looking at her phone and she went, "Is that socially responsible posting that?" I'm like, "It's just for fun. It's just for fun." But I will say, for 1 minute, I thought there could be some haters out there. Like, do you? It's like Clarkson when he was in the US or the Falklands, and he just such hatred because of obviously the number plate on the car they bought. So,
Right.
was it a 928? I can't remember.
I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at the PR they got out of that, right? It's okay to be a little edgy.
I'm okay
piss
with
off
that.
a couple
without
world
the little
leaders.
PR and death threats, mate. So
They would never send a trained killer to the States, right? I mean, and we don't even use our real name, so it's
I
Right, Bob.
I did hear they were when they were getting chased. They were hiding in a garage, and there was a policeman there. And they said, "Like, what do we do?" And the policeman said, "You need to get out of here as fast as possible." And I suggest you don't go up into those hills, because if you go in there, you're never coming out. There's nothing I can do for you. So,
well, hill people are always a little scary. That just goes the higher up in elevation, says the guy in Denver. No,
Speaking of socially
the hills they have
responsible,
eyes.
yeah.
It's like we're drinking, but we're not. Are we just riding the wave of the
last 2
goodwill of
weeks.
our
The last-
listeners and viewers?
Well, the last probably month and a half, there has been so much effort gone on here, and
Yeah.
I know it doesn't show for those listening, but we've put in a lot of effort,
Yeah, we
and
have.
a lot of issues, and a lot of late nights, and
Yeah.
we've had a couple of guests on, and we've had technical issues, and we've had to redo the recording again. So,
Yeah.
hang with us and see if you can spot which one that was. But I think you energy levels just drop, don't they? And it's the weekend, my wife's away.
Yeah.
PlayStation, pizza, and pants this weekend. So that's kind of where I'm at. So
Well, and I think now we can look forward to these. Not that we weren't looking forward to when we get together to record, right? But now is the fun part. Now all we have to do is hit record and we can wrap. And that was something that took some doing. I had, bless their hearts, many listeners reach out to me over the last few days critiquing our output to date. And I appreciate that because me personally, I just can't be that candid. I'll dance around it, right? And so we had some people who were really on point with their criticisms, and a lot of them, were around the sound quality, or you're kind of, it seems like you're maybe kind of still getting to know each other, kind of thing. But I just want to say, you gotta start somewhere. A lot of that was technical stuff, and we're in 4 different cities in 2 different countries. The fact that we're now doing this is kind of a minor miracle. Joe Rogan has a producer or 5, right? So this is just us, and the fact that we're here doing this, I think is something. So I do appreciate everyone's kind words, and no one was no one was mean. They were just they're just pointing out what they liked and maybe what we could do differently.
Yeah, and I have to call out. Now he's becoming a good friend, but he's also a colleague, Mr. Anderson, that he did pull me up on one of the facts that I said was that Rover used JLR parts, and he said no, they didn't. I still think they did, and I'm going to dig deep to try and find it. But so we now have a phone a friend guy that if we need some facts checking, it's I'll get Mark on it. So yeah,
I think that'd
perfect.
be smart, right? Yeah. There's a lot of out of our rear end on the show.
Yeah, this is not a documentary. This is entertainment. So I hope it's entertainment.
Right.
So.
That's right. Yeah. Dan, you look like you're looking something up. Are you?
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to keep out of trouble. But on the feedback stuff, I think it generally means that people care, and we love that. Yeah. So
absolutely,
please keep the feedback coming, and thank you, because it's the only way we get better, right?
Absolutely, engagement is key.
Hopefully.
Engagement is key. And I've had some people just really come out of the work and said, hey, I was a closet, steering committee listener or whatever. And now, just seems like you guys are really coming into your own now. So, I'm having lots of coffees and beers with people over the next couple of weeks, and I'm looking forward to it very much. And, we do these show notes and just kind of, what's that?
No, that's great. And I think
we having
to
a
your
beer?
point, Dan.
Yeah.
That's right. And
we got to get a company credit card
listening.
there. Absolutely.
There's no way I'm approving that. So,
Should we set ourselves a challenge for Car Week?
It depends what that challenge is.
Who can get the most famous selfie during the week? And we'll sort some award. But it can't be someone you know already. So, Lindsey, you can't just go to the Lindsey phone book and say, hey, can we get a selfie? It's got to be someone you don't know, all right?
Well, let's list this out.
So how are we defining famous or celebrity?
Yeah.
We could get the audience to vote.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so we each submit one.
We have car famous. We have Hollywood celebrities. What are we thinking?
However you want to interpret it.
Let's keep it to 2.
The audience needs to know. Okay.
Does that make sense? So general celebrity and then automotive personality.
Okay.
Because if we're going to give out prizes, 2 is going to help.
And Ryan, I know you're really good at Photoshop, so no cheating, all right?
Oh, yeah.
You just want to get that out of the way now.
Right?
How did you meet the Queen? She's dead.
I think the Queen is in your Rolodex, Dan, but, It's,
right.
But let's do that. One of each. We'll post them. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this podcast does make things happen. I was going to title this segment "How About Them Apples?" Right, and I do feel that way. Right, the success we've had so far, and the doors that this has opened and will open. We've got Freddie Hunt. Well, actually, by the time you hear this, you will have heard the Freddie Hunt episode.
Hopefully.
Very excited to let that one out, and some other big names. But yeah, let's do this contest. I'm going to edit that out because that was garbage from me. Just hold up my hand so I know where to tag it. Let's go back.
400 for the bloopers roll. Yeah,
that's right. So yeah, 2 categories. Right, we're on the same page. I like this idea, Dan. Car celebrity, general celebrity. If Kate Beckinsale, I'm sorry, Say that again. If Kate Beckinsale
Hold up. It's
doesn't
the
show
hand
up.
deal. That's the marker. We're going to be like the robot, aren't we? Like, cut.
Yeah, when you edit all of
this is an
together,
appeal.
it's us doing the-
It'll be nothing. It's going to be worthless. Let's all just go home now.
That's right.
Oh, we are home.
Well, Kate
Road Show
Beckinsale, I know
dance
you
move.
listen.
I will say we had one guest on, and it was just Ryan and myself, and we were recording, and he kept dropping off, and so we.
As in, like, falling asleep or the internet connection.
Well, it could have been
It
either
wasn't
way.
our
It might have,
fault, Dan. Thank
Ed
you.
might have hit the hang up button, but both Ryan and I were like, we didn't move. We were silent. We were like, those sort of stick insects. We're just like. So we can edit it out, and our heads and bodies are still in the same place. And it's like, I don't think he's coming back. Do we move? Yeah. Oh, it was several times. Do you
Never-
remember? Do you, Ryan?
I do. Never underestimate the power of a good Wi-Fi connection because, that's yeah. And also take into consideration time zones, which is what might not be late for one might be very late for another. So,
right.
all right. So who
You
we
were
shooting
making
for?
a connection about a female actress from Britain, weren't you, Ryan?
Well, she is my age-appropriate crush, right? Because she's older than I am, I think.
What are we talking about now?
Kate Beckinsale. She's got to be into cars, right? I just, it's my nod to you two Brits. But no, who are we shooting for? Like, who do you think we can land as far as a
I'm not
selfie?
going to give any secrets out.
Yeah, no
Listen,
trade
okay.
secrets, Ryan.
I am-
Competition's on.
Yeah,
And
you've honed it now. I'm so competitive.
And you three, I know, have some huge names in your. I still want to say the word Rolodex, and I don't think anyone's used a Rolodex since 1989. In your phones.
Farm Pilot, where are we going? Roll out all the old antique road shows.
Let's
here.
do this in triplicate, guys. Yeah, it's. But I don't have all those names. I know between the three of you, I think you have just about everyone covered. So, we'll
I know.
do
I feel
this
like
on
I'm
the
at
honor
a
system.
distinct disadvantage.
I
You?
think so. I think you're
Come on,
sandbagging.
she's already trying to.
Throw us off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because if
Who's
I'm
she
not
texted
allowed
already?
to, I'm not allowed to take pictures with anybody I already know. Was that what you said, Dan?
True,
That was
but
the
you
rule?
could get one of your friends to introduce you. That's the.
That's true.
Yeah.
So we're
And
allowed
I don't
to
know that has-
leverage our connections.
Absolutely. Sky's the limit.
Yeah.
And should we say the biggest celebrity or like the one that just makes people say, "Oh, damn." Like that's like is it like objective or subjective?
I think
Well,
it's
the listeners can
whatever
just decide
you
either
feel.
way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I think it's somebody
'Cause I
that
think
makes
there might be
you
some deep
personally,
Okay.
like whoever knocks your socks off personally, that counts.
Right. Okay. All right. Should we circle this back to cars?
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna come to the 911 GT3 status, but before we potentially end on that, I think Lindsey, you've had some fun this week doing car shopping and car works. Tell us more.
I have, yeah, the last couple of weeks. So I had to take there was a recall on my X3, and it actually turned out to be a great experience because I got to have two really fun loaners. One was, they were both 2024. One was an X3M BMW, and then the other was the BMW X1M. And I was thinking they would be relatively similar, and they were very different. I had the X3 first, and that's what I had turned in was an X3 with the M package. So, it was more of an apples to apples comparison. And
Do you
one,
know what the M? What do they add for the M? Do you know? Because I kind of feel like putting an M badge on a BMW. It's like they're just handing out AMG
Yeah, what does that
badges,
mean
M badges.
these days?
Yeah.
So on the 07, which is obviously one of the earlier ones, the ride was a little bit sportier, so the suspension was more sporty suspension. Other than that, I don't know that there was a big difference because I think they were still sort of, testing out like how do we deliver an M experience.
What we call that is engaging. So that's how we we justify the stiff ride. It's like a performance differentiator, but call it engaging. So.
Okay. So it's more engaging, and that one's a manual.
Yeah.
So that was, I think, part of the M experience in that one. The two loaners that I had were both automatic. I don't think they're making manual SUVs currently at BMW.
No, but that's real car person cred that you own that.
Yeah.
Why, thank you. Well, and as one of my friends said, it was so nice, I bought it twice. So full credit to Lieberman for that one, because I bought it in 2008,
Nice.
sold it to a family member, and just bought it back within the last year. So
Oh, literally the same car.
So-
Okay, right.
yeah, same.
awesome.
Like, kept tabs on it and regularly would say, like, just
Sure.
a reminder, I have first right of refusal.
Yeah.
And so I bought it back within the last year. And they didn't obviously make too many manuals. And so the X3 was delightful to drive, no learning curve on the interior or the tech or any of that. And it was really comfortable, great acceleration, generally very, enjoyable in a way that was unremarkable, but in a good way, because I just got in and I could immediately just start using it. I felt very comfortable in it. And I anticipated the X1 would be similar, but the interior was wildly different, which really took me by surprise. And it was very different for a BMW, but also very different from any car I've ever seen, period.
So did I hear you say earlier on that the X1 had paddle shift?
It did. Yes. So that was one of the most interesting
Welcome
parts
to the club. Yeah.
right? Well, and that's what was so interesting comparing the two, because I thought, okay, they're both, one's an X3M, one's an X1M. Even those two are going to be relatively apples to apples, and it was
Sure.
very different.
But different platforms, right? I mean, isn't the X1, doesn't that share a platform with the Mini?
It may. You may know
I
more
don't know
about
if it does
that
now,
part of
because I
it.
think
Okay.
the X1's a brand new design, isn't it?
Oh, it
The
is.
new-
Okay.
The X1.
Okay. Okay.
So it
This was
used
the most
to, but I
current.
don't know about now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they've refreshed the design for it to, appeal to a different demographic.
There's a list of things you have to do when you go test drive a car. Obviously, it's your standing start, 0 to 60, see if you can get it on two wheels, take it on a beach, rag it through the water. Like, what did you do? How did you stress test this car?
So I did a slightly different version of the stress test. I packed it full of people. So I was able to take 4 adults and an adult-size preteen very comfortably in the X1, which we weren't sure, initially. Yeah, like no problem. We did like more than an hour's worth of driving with all 5 of us in it, and everybody was very comfortable. Did do some standing starts, and I will say I was very impressed with the pickup. One thing that
Nice.
kept catching my attention that was really fun was when you put it in sport mode, the exhaust note, especially when I was coming up to a stoplight, the first few times it caught my attention, and I was looking around going, oh, what's around me that's really fun? And then I realized it was the car I was driving, because they did
Yeah?
a really good job.
Is it the
Nice.
burble and pop kind of thing, or what are we?
No, when it would
Flames.
downshift, it would do the M rev, kind of growl,
Oh,
And
Oh,
it took
cool.
me-
Okay. Yeah.
which I was not expecting because I was in an SUV, even in an M.
Yeah.
Because the other two have been more subtle and or cosmetic, or just suspension based. I wasn't expecting
Sure.
that. But then, and I did do the paddle shifters, which was really
Nice.
fun. It was so, and it was almost an afterthought. I realized I'd been driving it for a couple days and hadn't done it. So it was a relatively quick period, but it was super intuitive
All these people
and really
that think
fun.
manual is the way forward, they're just used to having something in their hand. Like, it's just,
But it definitely made it engaging, and I kind of, I think the reason I kept forgetting to try it, because I did have that car for 2 days and it just wasn't, it doesn't fit in an SUV initially in my mind. But this one was such an interesting mix because even the controls were completely different. Like the gear shift was like a little thing that you would almost click. It wasn't a stock. It wasn't anything I've ever seen before. But it was really fun, and I came away Really liking the X1M.
No kidding.
So you're going to put a deposit down? You tempted to do something?
I'm tempted, which I did not expect.
Yeah.
No.
What's the price point on this?
Every time I go look at a car, my wife will say to the kids, "I think we've just bought a car." Even before I've even left the house, she's like, "I think we've just bought a car."
The process starts days before. Yeah, that's awesome.
I was just looking. These start at the M35i, which I'm assuming was the one it was.
Yeah,
$50,000.
Polestar 2 money.
No tax credit.
He's
No.
gone.
No,
he really has gone. He's left us. So.
so it's not
How are those
that
Rivian
different.
updates coming along? Yeah.
Right?
The phone's not ringing.
Locked number.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
You are ex-Rivian, let's not.
I know. I'm outside the circle of trust, circle of friendship. So speaking of drifting, actually, I did see a video, and I'm mocking, obviously, people that like manuals being old-fashioned, but I saw a video of Chris Harris. We know Chris Harris, the well-known journo and very, very good driver. Yeah, Chris Monkey, you might know him as.
Right.
And I saw a video of him drifting a car, changing gears whilst he's drifting around a corner, and you go, just kept it going, and just think, that's a guy that knows how to drive a manual.
That's the difference. Yeah.
That's impressive.
And because your X3, is a manual, would that?
Right.
Would you feel like you're somehow turning in a card by going to a car that wasn't?
Because the next step is an EV
during the middle of a
well.
drift? Yeah, that's right.
Not to brag, but I think that
you are like the one legit racer on this team. So
Yeah.
it's
high performance driver. I have not raced.
Okay,
and
there you go. With that too.
And I learned that was not the direction I want to go. But that's what was interesting, and I think that's maybe why I was more drawn to the X1 ultimately, because it still delivers kind of the performance experience, but in a modern car, especially with the exhaust note and all of that, and having the option of a paddle shift. I could still get that experience and then also have all the modern conveniences and comforts.
And I'm looking at the notes here that you wrote down. A lot of talk about the X1, not so much about the X3. Because if the X1 is big enough to put 5 decent, sized humans in, where does that put the X3 now? And if it's arguably a better drive.
Right. And I think it depends on what you're looking for, because, like you were talking about Carline, I'm probably in the minority of people that are saying like, okay, but does my school pickup car give me the option to have paddle shifters, and how does the exhaust sound and that kind of stuff? So I think the X3 is a great option. I really, really enjoyed it. And it was fun because it was the same exact color as the E46 that I drove years ago, carbon black, which is a very, very dark navy. And it's always been funny because the official name has black in it, but it's a blue, beautiful blue. So that was fun, and it felt nostalgic. And it was a really nice car to drive if you wanted something dependable, comfortable, all the modern tech, all of that. And you could still take 5 people. They didn't feel all that different size-wise, which was also surprising.
Interesting. Yeah. And I assume the X3 is another, $15,000, $20,000 up from that, or not?
So I don't know about the one with the M.
Yeah.
It's not as much difference as you might expect.
Okay. But it seems like the movie's the X1. Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Well,
like you said, Ryan, when I was making the notes, I kept coming back to the X1, and I'm like, if you had told me going in that these were the 2 I would have, and told me which one, that I had to pick ahead of time, that would not have been the choice. Or the guess.
The X3 starts at $76,000.
Ooh, that's a lot of dollars.
Okay, so the M is going to be more. The one thing I will say about the X1 that was interesting was at one point on the freeway, it tramlined significantly enough that one of the people in the back seat, exclaimed. So that would be something to look at.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
I heard a whoa, because it really grabbed, and jolted. But then once that happened, I was aware of it too.
Yeah.
You know. So.
All right. So you will let us know if you end up.
Right. I will. And, as far as finding out that there's a recall on an old car and then dealing with the repair process, this was about as much fun and easy as it could be. So big thank you to Brian Ortiz at Crevier, by the way, who made the experience very nice and amazing.
Nice.
Very good.
Well, you'll keep us posted if you decide to mix up the stable. And
definitely.
Alan, do you have news on your end? Was that a sly smile or no? Okay, I thought maybe you'd heard back.
Oh no, I have some friends at Porsche. I'm messaging them, see if the next, see if I can add anything to the next section. So for those that listen, we have a Confluence page, and we have put show notes down just to try and help keep the four of us on track, because we deviate pretty easy here. And I know it's hard to believe. Yeah, it's hard to believe when you listen to the show that there actually is some structure to it, but we do try. So and obviously there are some topics in there to try and help keep us going. So, and obviously Dan was on killing some time on the Porsche configurator recently, and you couldn't find GT3.
Yeah, if you go, I don't know if it's the same for Europe, but Porsche USA, when you go to the configuration page, which we all do, and we pick our favorite colors, and you can't select the GT3 now. So I'm assuming the GT3 Gen 1 is now dead. I think we all should be wearing armbands, black armbands, and maybe play some funeral music. But so it looks like we'll have to go for an ST.
Put our Porsche flags at half-mast.
Just walk right in and buy one of this. I mean, of course, the first question that comes to mind is it just because there will be a 0.2 soon? Will there be a 0.2 at all?
Yeah, I wonder whether it's just it's not available at the moment until the new one comes out.
Yeah,
and that's going to be interesting because obviously they have the e-turbo, but I don't know how that fits around in the rules because you can't have hybrid on GT3.
Yeah,
unless
they
some
won't.
rules changing.
Yeah, I don't think the GT cars will ever be hybrid, right?
Yeah,
at least not anytime soon. I think that was the official line from the company. I think it
was that a hope? Was that a request?
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah. I feel like we have some
I
questions.
do not have it on company letterhead.
It's not going anywhere, people. Don't worry. So.
I feel like we have some good questions for our friends over at Porsche Colorado Springs. Maybe check in with John and Justin.
Yeah. Right. They're the ones to
funny.
They're the ones to consult with for sure.
Every year at Car Week, Porsche tend to launch something.
Ooh.
So I wonder if two things: GT2, replacement GT2, or a replacement for the 918. So if they do either of those, you heard it here first. If they don't, we can cut this bit out.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right. Maybe it's not
and
just
either
one.
way,
we
will
before that week though. So.
Yeah.
That'll be a post-car week
episode.
edit.
That's right. Yeah. Right. It's
and
just
either
you
way,
press
we'll
a
be
button.
there to cover
you just
it.
press the easy button and it just shakes out. So if it is the GT3 or if the new GT3 is coming out here soon, what could they possibly do to improve that thing? I mean, it's always going to be a little more power, right? 11 horsepower or something.
I feel like Alan, that's an engineering
as well.
Yeah.
Power and weight and stiffness. So they're the areas that you continually chip away at. So
how do you do that though? Like, how do you improve upon that? Like, what and why didn't you just do it the first time? If you can do that, what goes into that?
There's new materials, different technology, different configurations, different in terms of architecture and platform enable different things. So, and obviously it's supposed to be based on a production car. So, a production car is still has to be built, has to have a managed BOM cost, so you can actually make money out of it, and then that's your basis for homologation. So, it's something that, unless you get an exemption from the FIA or whatever governing body, ACO, you have to still have a road car, and it's still got to be, profitable. So unless a manufacturer does a special, then, and is prepared to commit, and that it is a complicated and expensive process to make outside of the normal sort of manufacturer departments. Yeah, it's you've got to try and bring some of those advancements into the production vehicle so you can then lean on it or leverage it for your race car. So, yeah, it's not just build what you want and go racing. Otherwise, everything would be a Formula One car.
I think we forget
everything
that sometimes.
Would be an RB17. So
right. And I think the time is something, the world has gotten so compressed, right? Like we expect this instant gratification. In cars, there is a timeline that over years, right? I mean, before, when does the talk start about a car before it actually, say, gets built?
Probably about 4 years before.
4 years, okay, yeah.
And so there's different manufacturing techniques that sort of are coming out, new materials. So if you're in that 4-year process, if you can't feed it in reliably, you've got to wait until the next product. And is it still fit for that product? And is something else changing at that point? So yeah, it's lots of factors.
And I suppose budgets factor into these things too, right? And there are things you want to do and can't always do.
But also there's the economy as well. So it's like, how many people want it?
Yeah.
Is the manufacturer prepared to put money in, or do they want to sort of eke out more out of that model for the next couple of years? Through 2008, for those who remember, credit crunch, not many manufacturers really wanted to invest, but that actually is the time to invest because, as we all know, everything is cyclical. So when you come out of it, the economy turns. That's when you really want to have your new car. So it's, almost feels counterintuitive, but you need to invest in new products when the recession is here, so that as it cycles out, you've got your product the other end. But it's a long time to develop a car.
It's interesting. We've talked about, the economy factoring to cars before, specifically Porsches, and how if you've ever looked for a 997, there are many, many more 0.1s than there are 0.2s. Also, incidentally, when when PDK was released. But yeah, it's very, very difficult to find a 0.2 relative to a 0.1. And of course that shows in the pricing as well. So that's probably the big factor that we never really talk about, right? In a vacuum, all these things can be done or whatever, but then the real world exists and really drives all of this at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I
haven't heard back. I've messaged some people at Porsche. Oh, sorry. Go on, Lindsay.
No, I was just going to say you made a good point about, the involvement of it being based on a street car, like that. Yeah. That impacts it a lot.
Yeah, and that's why you have people like Multimatic that come out with the GTD. It's you're having a CEO like Jim Farley who's prepared to say, it's our DNA. We're going to do it. We're going to do this well. Yeah. That's as an engineer, you sit there and you listen to your CEO and you're like, yes, let's do this. Let's make something amazing, not we're going to build a new car on an old platform. And you're like, oh, kill me now. Yeah. This is so boring. So.
Right. Yeah, that's where the true passion comes in with, like you said, having a CEO who's an actual race car driver. And that was what he talked about at the GTD reveal last year, was how excited he was. And it was so interesting because he said, this is a hard right turn for Ford away from Shelby, which there's such a Shelby Ford legacy. And we're still honoring that, but this is a really exciting direction for the company.
But for those that know, the company that did the GTD, Multimatic, is almost as far as I'm aware, almost as old as Shelby as well in terms of its tuning and racing and engineering credibility. And they've got phenomenal resources. They've done the obviously the previous.
Well, look what they did with
GT.
the GT.
Yeah. And then there's obviously they supported Mercedes with the Project One. They've got their own dampers. It's that's massive simulation team, massive engineering facility. So it's not like it's a risk for Jim going to Multimatic, was it? So
no, it was just exciting.
Well, we just need to get Jim on someday.
Yes.
I'll text him now.
Get first person, right?
Yeah, get on there.
All right. Well, we're waiting for responses from, I think it is now, Rivian, Porsche, and Jim Farley. It's probably a good time to call this one a day, but this was a fun one, guys.
One last thing. One last thing. So I went to Formula E on the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
So I wasn't going to go. I thought, am I interested in it? Am I not? Because I've watched it on TV, and it was a little bit of a snooze fest, I thought.
Yeah.
but I got 2 tickets to go, and so and thanks James Finn for the ticket. It was actually a really good day. It's not your traditional motorsport day because this is a circus that travels around. They don't have support classes, so it's practice, qualifying, and race with the Formula E car. There's very little aero. It's obviously on TV. You don't hear much noise, and you think, "Oh, it's not exciting." But when you're there, you hear tires squeal. You know, you're hearing there's way more overtaking in that than Formula One, and they are literally bouncing off each other, and there's debris flying off. And we sat there at the end of the race just going, how do they not red flag this? There's like carbon wings and, you know, rear crash cans on the track. It was really interesting. I definitely, if it's in your hometown, I'd definitely recommend going. And just before they start the race, obviously they spin the wheels up to get a bit of warmth into the tires. And there's a lot of smoke, and the grandstands are inside. So the track is outside, and it comes into the main straight, which goes down through this big exhibition center. And the smoke stays there. And you sit there and you're going, you know, and you think, I think I'd rather have some internal combustion engine gas. So,
so it's not completely sterile.
It's not at all. It was really interesting.
That sounds awesome.
Out the back was just a big party. So
amazing. I mean, maybe some of the other series could take down a couple notes, right? Learn a thing or two. It's And you said it was sold out, and they're road courses, which, I mean, you know, let's not discount the the power of a road course, right? Making something interesting.
Yeah,
so.
it's interesting, getting really close to the action. So it was
That's
good.
awesome.
Yeah, sold out.
All right, well, Formula E.
I will say, actually, it's I wasn't going to show you this, but I will. So it was in central London. So to get back from central London, you obviously had to get on a Lime bike and cycle from one station to the other. So you get a discount if you wear a helmet on a Lime bike. So they gave this paper helmet.
Good look,
so I
isn't
put
it?
that on, and then you take a photo of yourself and you send it to Lime, and you get a discount on your bike hire. So
amazing.
Yeah. If you saw someone in London cycling through with this on,
that's so good.
Double points for you, Alan, if you get a selfie with someone at Car Week and you're wearing that helmet.
It's way cooler than a Burger King crown.
After a flaming Lamborghini, I'd probably put it on anyway. So, yeah.
That's fantastic. All right, guys. Great show. Thank you. Let's keep it going. Thank you for all of you who have tuned in, who have listened, who have spread the word. We appreciate you. We owe it all to you. Can't wait to meet again next week. Have some really exciting shows with some great people coming out in the meantime. Guys, thank you. I'm Ryan in Denver.
Thank you. I'm Lindsey in Southern
Alan in
California.
And Dan in Seattle.
And I'll edit that out and
Thank
make
you,
it
everybody.
All right, thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye.